these things. Forever. There's no going back. See, to them, you're just a freak. Like me.
What do we got?
Nothing. No name, no other alias. Clothing is custom. Nothing in his pockets but knives and lint.
Evening, Commissioner.
Hi, welcome everyone. This is episode 41 of the Comics in Motion podcast. I am Chris, and unfortunately, Dave is not here today. This guy's job is taking him all around the world, and unfortunately, he can't make it. And we have a special guest again for a fourth appearance. She was always scheduled to come on, especially a movie we're reviewing today. It's our good friend, Jaime Selice. How are you doing, Jamie?
Hi, thanks for having me back.
It's the fourth one today for you, fourth episode.
Technically 4. I think it's still 3. We tried recording.
Yeah,
twice.
We did. Yeah. In fact, no, I think is it 3 or 5? It might be 5 actually, is it? Because there was the abandoned one, is it? Or is it 4?
I did Batman Begins, Wonder Woman, and now.
Oh
Batman.
gosh. Yeah, we did Wonder Woman twice, didn't we? Yeah, we won't talk about that. Yeah. I still say the first episode was the best. But anyway. No, thanks for coming on again. And obviously, today's a very special review for us. And it's one that, to be fair to everyone out there, Dave is absolutely gutted because he genuinely was on for this. It's one of his favourite films. So we're actually reviewing The Dark Knight. Yeah, he's absolutely devastated. And so we should be, Jamie. Shame on him. That's all I can say.
I feel bad.
No, I'm only joking. He knows that. It's one of them things. Work comes first, so you've got to do it. And before we get into the comics and movie stuff, which unfortunately, people, you're going to have me today, not Dave and his dulcet tones. Just thought we'd mention a couple of things. Now, we've just got some good news. The Comics in Motion have been asked, and we have joined the comicsbolt.com website, and we're their official reviewers for all comic book based movies, which is fantastic. So if you can, get over to the website comicsbolt.com and give them a follow on Twitter as well. So we're not sure what we're going to be doing in the future. All these episodes that we do, and today's episode, Jamie's going to be on their website, and they're going to put all the audio on YouTube as well. So that's a great news for us, and we're really good to be sort of collaborating. And the fact that someone's approached us to come on, it must mean we're doing something right. So I'm really pleased with that. Yeah,
it's very exciting for you guys. I'm happy.
No, thank you as well. And obviously, hopefully you'll get some stuff off the back of that as well, because with you being on the podcast, it promotes your work, especially in the comic book realm as well. So get more people reading the scripts and everything, won't we? So which is great. Bit of chit chat for this week, Jamie. Have you seen the Aquaman trailer that was out this week?
I have. I saw it when it came out, like the first day. I was really excited. I loved a lot of the scenes that they had to show because it was a 5-minute long trailer. So it did a really good job of kind of explaining, but not explaining too much of what the plot's going to be of the movie. And it showed some really cool action sequences in the trailer. One of them is like a full one with Black Manta chasing Mira and Arthur. And it's like almost like one long take that's done in and outside of a building, which was really, really cool. So I'm really excited to see a lot of the action scenes in that movie.
No, and to be fair, actually, I'd said to you before we started, that I have actually seen it. I didn't realise it is a long trailer, isn't it? Which is great. Yeah, and I do like Jason. What's his second name? Jason Momoa. I can never pronounce his
Momoa.
What was that?
Momoa.
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah, Momoa. But he's a good actor as well, and obviously we've had the Justice League where he was in that as well. So this is his own origin film, which I'm looking forward to. So most people know him from Game of Thrones, don't they? And he was only in for that for the first sort of series as well. And Baywatch, if you're a Baywatch fan out there, from a very long time ago. But no, that's good. And then another one's a bit of a strange one. Obviously, we've had the controversy of the James Gunn tweet history where he got sacked from Guardians of the Galaxy 3. He's now rumoured to come on to Suicide Squad, which I must admit, I really want to review that, me and Dave, because I actually quite enjoy that film. I do, to be fair. I know it got absolutely slated, and everyone loves Margot Robbie. There's no doubting about that. Dave Bautista said straight away, tweeting out where to sign on. He's been one of his biggest supporters on social media. So I'm not sure how that one would go across because he'd be moving over to DC, won't he? But what do you think of that one, Jamie?
Yeah, I'm curious. I enjoyed the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I think they're a lot of fun. I think the next Suicide Squad would kind of help with his writing. So I'd be excited to see what he can do with it. I know that there's a little bit of controversy over, like, he's not like the biggest fan of Jared Leto.
No.
So How that's going to come into play for another Suicide Squad is going to be interesting.
Unless he uses Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, unless
Obviously.
they
Cross
mesh
him
that
over.
together.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
gets rid of Jared Leto. I'm not sure. I presume with it being fresh in the mind, it would seem a bit daft to have a Joker origin film with Leto, a Joker origin film with Joaquin Phoenix, and then you use Jared Leto in Suicide Squad. I think you're telling too many stories, aren't you? There, to be honest.
Yeah, it's. I'm interested to see how it all plays out. And then with Dave Bautista, I would be really interested to see him play Bane.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
He's already built to play that character, so I think that would be really cool since we don't have a Bane yet for this universe.
No, that's a good call, actually. He's just a monster, isn't he? So, no, he doesn't have to, like Tom Hardy, obviously, they had to use a lot of camera angles and that, didn't they? Because I think he's only about 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah.
He's not a tall guy, whereas Batista's about 6'3", 6'2". So, and he's just pure muscle. He must be 280 pounds worth of muscle. So, no, good shout on that one. And then final bit of news this week was me and Dave have talked about a few times a possible Black Widow film, and I think Dave was skeptical whether it was actually going to come off, but there is rumours now that she signed on Scarlett Johansson, $15 million deal. So that looks like it. Whether it's an origin one going backwards, we're not sure. A sort of precursor to the Avengers. I presume it must be, if I'm being honest, especially with the way the Avengers 4 is coming along. That's going to put the exclamation point. So I look forward to it. I like Scarlett Johansson. I think she's great.
Yeah, I'd like to see another period piece too, because I guess that kind of helps if they're going to go back to a prequel. They can do maybe the 80s or the 90s around that time period, and that would be a lot of fun.
No, that's good, really good. I hope Dave is going to like my comic background, because obviously he is the man and I am the pretender, the Joker, shall we say. So, it's only going to be a brief one. It's only stuff I've researched today, so forgive me, everyone out there. I'm sure there's going to be people whacking their heads against desks and that going, why have you forgotten this, Chris? But I'm supposed to be the film buff, everybody, so please forgive me. At least you're laughing anyway. Yeah, it's true.
No, I'm joking around.
Yeah. Quite apt. Quite apt. Yeah, so the inspiration for this film, comic book wise, comes actually from the Joker's 1940 debut. And the film that we reviewed on episode 37, which was obviously an animated film, which was The Killing Joke, the 1988 novel, and based on the series, 1996 series, The Long Halloween, which that retold Two-Face origin story. So Nolan wanted to bring that into a film. Now, I know there was different versions of what they did with the Joker and different ways they were going to use it. And Nolan was looking at different things in the comic world of how they were going to take inspiration. But obviously, the title of the film is The Dark Knight. That was actually in the very first Batman #1 comic in 1940, which was obviously written by Bill Finger. See, I do listen to Dave, you see, Jamie.
Yeah, it's sinking in.
Yeah, he is. And also Wikipedia is looking even better at the moment. But there you go. But no, it's true. So I do know that my good friend and Dave's absolute writing and producing hero, David S. Goyer, as he absolutely loves that guy and his work, he had a big say on where they were going to go with the different inceptions of the Joker and how they were going to bring him in. Now, inspiration regarding that, it's just they've took snippets out of various Batman comics over the years, and especially with the Harvey Dent stuff as well. That's just stuff where they have took it from certain old comics and then brought it back in. So it's not really something where you can absolutely pinpoint a series of comics, but it's something that they used and just took bits out that people like to bring it from the comic era. And that's about all I've got. It's pretty terrible, that, Jamie, but it's
I agree with you, because it's a movie that's very original.
Yeah.
It's hard to pinpoint directly like what comics it's pulling from, because it almost feels like a crime drama. It doesn't always feel like a full comic book movie in certain instances.
See, that's great. That.
Like that.
No, it's good. You've supported me on that. I like that. That's good. Yeah. In relation to the movie background and that, obviously, it was released in 2008. It's regarded as one of the best films ever made. Which is that's no joke. I know obviously the three of us, if Dave was here, would probably agree on the same thing. It was released on the 18th of July 2008 in the US and July the 25th in the UK. Film critics still say it's one of the best films of the 2000s, and it's probably the best superhero film of all time, which obviously is a matter of personal taste and opinion, but I can totally get why that. And obviously, Heath Ledger passing away at post-production elevated the film even more. He died while filming another film, didn't he? So we all know the backstory there. It was an overdose and that of prescription drugs, but his performance as the Joker goes down as probably one of the best superhero bad guy performances ever. And I don't think you or me or anybody can argue with that, irrespective of it being a superhero film. His actual overall performance was fantastic. He actually
winning an Oscar tells
exactly.
you right there. It's the only Oscar win for a superhero movie like that. So
exactly, good call as well. Yeah, best supporting actor he got for that, posthumous. The film was nominated for 8 Academy Awards, obviously winning best supporting actor, best sound editing. So that's great. It's the 36th highest grossing film of all time, and then it actually took in its first weekend in the US $158 million, which was a record which it held for 3 years. So it was so good, the film and the way it was received by them, which is fantastic. Now, Ledger was actually, they approached Heath Ledger to actually play the part of Batman in Batman Begins. And obviously that didn't come off. And Nolan always wanted him. And they weren't sure what they were going to get. So they offered him the part of the Joker in The Dark Knight. And he inspired, I don't know if you know, there's a guy in the UK, his Joker took inspiration from Johnny Rotten out of the Sex Pistols, a punk band. And another one, which is a bit bizarre, it must be something Heath Ledger was in, there's an indie singer he's a druggie, to be honest, called Pete Doherty out of a band called the Libertines. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
No, I haven't heard of them.
Yeah, he's very much like, he's still alive, luckily, but he's very much in the vein of Amy Winehouse. Had a lot of problems with drug addiction, very grungy. He's into all this art stuff where he self-harms and uses his blood to draw and all this. At one point in the UK, he was absolutely just synonymous for his wild party antics. And apparently that's where Ledger took a lot of inspiration for his character, which I find a bit disturbing, but also it played out so well on the screen, didn't it? So, who am I to argue, sort of thing, which is really good. A couple other people were looked at for playing the Joker. We had Paul Bettany, obviously, who's Vision in Avengers, Adrian Brody, Steve Carell, which would have been interesting. Obviously, they had The Office. I don't know how that worked. And then Robin Williams, who'd expressed interest, but obviously may have been a bit too old for the part then with going up against Bale. So, yeah, really interesting. Now, critically, Jamie, absolute masterpiece. On Rotten Tomatoes, even to this day, it's at 94% from the critics, and that's with 327 reviews, which is absolutely amazing. An average user review of 8.6 out of 10. And basically, it's just absolutely renowned as one of the best films ever, irrespective of superhero genre, which obviously comic book genre, which we're into. Yeah, and that's it really. Like I say, Ledger all day long, and the film was dedicated to Heath Ledger by Christopher Nolan after his death as well. Yeah. So, and also, Jamie, that's the end of what I've got to say to you on the movie. So, but I believe you've actually been to some of the locations in Chicago, haven't you, where there was a lot of the action?
Yes. A few years ago when I was in school with I was majoring in architecture, we had a class trip to Chicago for 5 days, and we got to do research ahead of time of what we wanted to look up in Chicago and what we kind of wanted to base our project on for that semester. And so I was already excited to go because I was like, yes, The Dark Knight was filmed here. Like I always wanted to see a lot of the places that it was filmed. So I started doing part of my project based on the movie and did a small little video doing clips from different movies and using The Dark Knight in that, because my project was based on the city of Chicago's becomes a character in film, and it really does in The Dark Knight. And when we got to go there, a small group of our friends got to go to the Lagunitas Brewery, located in the outskirts of downtown. And one of the more iconic scenes that was filmed there was in the warehouse. There's a warehouse where they do private tasting. That warehouse was also the same warehouse they used to film the giant pile of money getting burned. So once I found that out, I had a mini heart attack. I was so happy to get to visit that spot, since that one's more of a not a location that people get to see all the time, but you just walk the streets of Chicago and you can kind of tell where stuff's been filmed, especially if you recognize certain buildings and everything. So it's really cool. It's a really cool city, and I was happy I got to go.
No, it's really interesting that you've actually seen it, because I know Metropolis is based on New York, obviously Superman world, and then Chicago was Gotham. At one point, they was sort of they did use New York, hadn't they, and stuff years ago. But as it's got on, I know the fake names, and Dave touched on this in some of our episodes, like with the Superman episodes regarding Metropolis and Gotham. And obviously they're fictional, but we know the cities, and like you say, with stuff like that, I know Christopher Nolan absolutely fell in love with Chicago. A lot of the set pieces for Batman Begins, he said we had to go back, to film it. It was and they did look. I mean, a lot of the stuff was filmed at Pinewood Studios as well for a lot of the action scenes and that. But all the on-site stuff and the big location pictures and cinematics was all filmed around Chicago mostly, which is great. So it's just good that you can put that spin on it. You've got that feel for some of the scenes that I've never been to Chicago, so obviously I only know it from watching these sort of films. But no, really good. That's great, that, Jamie. So shall we go into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right, so we start off. Now, I watched this a couple of weeks ago. I did watch this in the cinema, and I'll tell a little story on this, Jamie. I went with Sam, my wife, and Jordan, my daughter, 2008. So Jordan would have been... Well, she wouldn't have been very happy. She would have been 8 and probably really not happy because she's 18 next week. But we went, and I remember it was really, really warm. And I know obviously the UK's had a great summer this year. First time for a long time where we've actually had a proper sun for like months on end. But it was absolutely sweltering. And I remember going in there and thinking, oh my God. And it's a 2-hour, 29-minute film. So 2.5 hour film, literally, 2 hours, 20 film. And it just flew by for me. Fantastic, film. And I remember this opening scene, you get the back of, you get the Chicago setting and you just get the back of this person, don't you? Which we know is the Joker, but obviously we get about a 5-minute intro of all like the criminals who are robbing this bank, saying, mentioning the Joker, aren't they? And saying, they're saying his name at first, like, he said this, he said that, and and they're all sort of double crossing themselves, aren't they? In that, but I think the way it's filmed, and this is one of the first films, and Nolan filmed this purely in IMAX 70 millimeter film. It took a lot of money and a lot of time, but he said the effects of it are fantastic. I mean, what do you think of that opening bank job and everything?
I mean, what a great way to introduce your villain is like not even fully reveal like who, like, to see their face, and he doesn't talk for like the first 5 minutes, and we've really got a sense of like who he is and how smart he is to like pull off this bank heist, and nobody knows until the end, and he's the only one coming out. And the great little moment he has with the guy that works at the bank, taking off his mask and revealing like what doesn't kill you makes you stranger. It's great. I love, we'll go into later like the Dark Knight Rises, and that's another intro to introduce your villain. Like these two opening scenes for me are like top. Brilliant.
You're right, Jamie. And I think as well, the guy who is obviously a mob, sort of the manager of the bank, he's like a mob enforcer or something. He's Mahone out of Prison Break, because that's the only character I know him as. And he's a bit of a badass in here. And I do wonder sometimes, though, why you would attack 4 or 5 villains with a shotgun when it's a pump action. It's not like, there's going to be a point there when he's maniacally shooting these robbers in that, and he kills one of them, that he's going to run out of bullets, and he doesn't. But it doesn't. It's not something where you go, oh, that's pretty. He's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And then the Joker, he puts the grenade in his mouth, doesn't he, and everything, and he has this piece of string on him, doesn't he? And because at this point, all the people who are robbing the bank and all the baddies and the henchmen have killed each other, because the Joker said to him, if you kill him, you get this, you get more, don't you, and all this. And they've all sort of, so very cleverly, nobody can pinpoint on the Joker. He's not really done anything other than walk into the bank after it's been held up, and they've took the money out of the vault and everything. And they load up this school bus, don't they? The old proper American school bus, the yellow one. And then he gets this string in his mouth, and then they drive off, and you think he's going to blow him up, and it's just a load of smoke in it. And, that's sort of basically the start of the film. It's fantastic setting, and it's so high definition and clear. It's so well filmed at the start and shot. I mean, I think the whole film is, to be honest, but great setting, and like you say, a great way to introduce the character. really good. So yeah, so then the next bit, well, what we're going to do with this one, Jamie, is we're not going to go absolutely scene for scene because it's such a long film. Obviously, I think we'd be putting a tent up and having a sleepover and that it'd go on that long. So we're not going to do that. So we've just picked out the certain points in the film we think are quite relevant. So we go to the next part is when the Joker sort of infiltrates and infuriates all the mob bosses. And they have that video conference call, don't they, with, is it Lau?
With Lau, yeah.
Lau. Because he's taken all the funds and he's back to Hong Kong. So you've got Sal Maroni, Gambol, Chechen, they're all together, aren't they? And then the Joker interrupts the meeting. Now, what's quite a good one in this is I'm a bit of a sucker for karate films. Michael J. White's there. He's the henchman, isn't he? The black guy with his boys around him. Now, he's actually an absolute animal in real life. And I'm quite surprised that in this, just as a side note, he's not used at all any of his martial arts. That's what he is. He's an absolute beast of a martial artist, but he's just used as a pure henchman, isn't he? In this, and he just don't like the Joker at all, does he? He's just like, no, this isn't. What's his name? This isn't happening, and there's a lot of tension. And yeah, but I love the fact that Heath Ledger comes in and he gives him, here's my card, and it's a Joker out of a pack of cards. It's brilliant.
And then the pencil scene is
so.
I saw that in the theater. I was like, okay, like.
Yeah,
I'm gonna wait a minute. I was like, because it happens so fast, and when you're not expecting it, you're like, he killed that guy with a pencil, and it was like the eraser sign.
Oh, it's bad, isn't it? It is. It's because he says to him, I'll make his pencil disappear, and he just gets that guy's head and slams it on the desk. And to be fair, it's quite a graphic scene. Yeah, you don't see the blood and guts, but for an actual superhero film, and I know The Dark Knight, Batman is a darker superhero than Superman is. You know, Superman's all bright lights and everything, in it, you know, the red and everything, the red and blue and the yellow, you know, the yellow S and all that stuff, and it's a different setting completely. But this is just like really dark, and I love it. I love the tone of it. I love this.
Yeah, it definitely fits because these are dark movies for sure, but I think that tone has been established really well. Like these, because they're very adult. Like they, like for kids, like I guess you have Batman and stuff, but like for this movie, I was saying earlier, it's very much like a crime drama. It's very, very grounded. So I get you kind of can have like a lot of that real world and like darkness to it for this film. Because I mean, even just like in the next scene with the Joker, he breaks a pool cue and tells like, I only need like 1 or 2 guys, and there's 3 of you, so have it out. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, so there's some very serious dark themes going on right in this one, but it all feels like it fits very well.
Oh,
it doesn't seem out of place.
No, exactly. And obviously before this sort of scene, you've got the whole Bruce Wayne thing, because what I do like about Christian Bale's portrayal as Bruce Wayne is when he's around the socialites and all the people with money and all his sort of social circle, it's that character of, you know, that obnoxious billionaire, you know, he's really like patronizing towards Harvey Dent, and obviously Rachel knows the secret, and she's like, she knows that Bruce is in pain and stuff. And I think the way it's acted between him and what's she called, Diggy Gyllenhaal,
Rachel.
Is it Rachel Gyllenhaal?
Oh, sorry, Rachel, Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, Maggie. Sorry, yeah. I think it's so well done. I think it's the pain and the hurt on Christian Bale's face, or Bruce Wayne's face. Sorry, but I think he's a great actor anyway, and she is as well. But it all fits in nicely with the characters, and he's setting it up. And obviously, Harvey Dent is just the man, and he's absolutely on the money. People know he's not afraid. He can't be bought, can he? He can't. He's just not having any of it. He's just nothing, is he? He knows there's a lot of corruption within the police. We saw that in Batman Begins, didn't we? So, which Gotham is just rife for it. So, yeah, he's like a freedom fighter. And I think, you know, Bruce absolutely respects Harvey a lot for what he's done. He wasn't sure about him, but they sort of meet up, don't they? And when they finally meet, he sees that he's a good guy. And he's not just a sort of politician and a yes man.
Yeah, I love all their performances, and I love like, because everybody just feels really real and authentic. It's not like this like super glammed up like cast of people, and like not to say like nobody's bad looking, but it's just it feels like these are all like real people and their performances are like really strong, and everybody just fits really well into this world.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. And obviously, one of the main sort of supporting actors who's brilliant through the whole trilogy is Alfred Michael Caine. He's so good, and he's got a little bit of a cocky jokes about him, and he sends up Bruce a lot, and obviously so does Lucius Fox, Morgan Freeman as well. The great characters within the world, I think, he's set up really well, and they bring in their own thing. And obviously in this film, Lucius is a bit more involved in it than just a sort of tech guy as such.
Yeah, helping him with the sonar and the new suit and all that, and basically being his like little oracle at the end of the movie, watching all the cell phones and everything too.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the next step we've got is when Batman has to go and get Lau and capture him, because he's the one who can actually infiltrate all these baddies. Obviously, Eric Roberts is one of the main Italian mobsters in this, and he has the whole thing with Lucius, doesn't he, where they mention about something that happened years ago where you can just sort of drop in and a plane comes out, doesn't it, and takes you away, because obviously the Hong Kong embassy and they're not going to let him extradite him back to the US. So the only way to do it is to take him and get him away. And this was all filmed around 2007. I think it's about October 2007 in Hong Kong and that. But I love the way this is done. This is the proper bringing Batman down to his sort of origins and everything. He goes there, doesn't he? Rachel's supposed to be going with Harvey to watch the Russian ballet, and Bruce does a Bruce and takes him all away with him, doesn't he? As a bit of a subplot, as typical billionaire.
He needed the good alibi, and everybody's just going to think Bruce is just a big jerk rather than like something else is up. Yeah,
exactly. And then poor Alfred's left with all them gorgeous women on the boat asking to put sun cream on. I've only got one pair of hands, as Bruce jumps off into the sea, doesn't he, and gets picked up by these sort of pirates type thing, doesn't he? And that whole scene's brilliant, because obviously he's got to get Lau, and he infiltrates the buildings, doesn't he, and takes all the henchmen out, and we get this great scene where he's literally got split second to sort of fire up in the air, and then he gets away, doesn't he, on the plane and that. And that's a great setting, and it takes Batman away, obviously, from Chicago as well, which is good. Oh, Gotham, sorry.
Yes, quote unquote.
Yes, of course.
But it's a really cool set piece, and it's a cool thing because it really explains like what Batman is capable of, that the district attorney and the police are, and he's like, I'm going to do the things that you can't do because I'm Batman.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. Because while Lucy's going on, obviously the Joker's threatening to kill a lot of people, doesn't he? And he's trying to murder the police commissioner, and then he does, doesn't he? Gillian B. Loeb, who's the judge. She's the judge presiding over the whole mob trial, don't they? Because Harvey realizes that he can get them all on what's called a RICO case, doesn't he, and stuff. And they try like hundreds of them, don't they? And they're like saying to Harvey, like, why have you done this? And he's like, it doesn't matter. He said, we'll take all the middlemen out. He said, and then they haven't got the supply, and it's a way of getting the streets cleaner. Which obviously the mayor, he's Anthony Garcia. He's next, and there's a great scene next where it's like what is it, like a police day, a armed forces day or something, where they're going through the streets of Chicago, because he's there, doesn't he? He knows that he's a threat and he's going to be assassinated, but the mayor's like, no, I've got to go. And we get the Joker without his makeup on, don't we?
Yeah, it was during the funeral for the original commissioner. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
But even I'm just thinking about it, the scene where like Harvey and the mayor are talking in his office, every time that scene comes on and that like the body hits the window, it gets me every time.
Yeah, it's awful, isn't it?
Yeah, I was like, even when you know it's coming, you're just like, it comes a second before you're ready for it, and then every time I watch the movie, but that's all.
Yeah, it makes you jump though, doesn't it? Because I watched it and I've seen it a few times, like I say, and it was absolute nightmare. And then obviously, while all this has gone on, just before that, the Joker's been on a video and he's saying like Batman's got to reveal his identity. If he don't reveal his identity, he's going to kill someone every day and stuff. But we get the maniacal Joker with the TV screen, and then he's got the knife, and he's like, he's like rasping in, and he's really like unkept and not dirty, but he's really like a mess of a person, isn't he?
Yeah, because you can tell in certain scenes, like his hair, like it's greasier, or it's just like it hasn't been washed, and then like the green is fading in some spots. It's like it's a really cool, like, because it's like this like imperfect, like unkempt, like person that was just like off his rails, that like the makeup kind of reflects all of what's going on the outside.
Yeah,
Or on the inside.
And I think as well, someone you mentioned earlier, Jamie, which is it's a great point, is Jared Leto went full on Heath Ledger on this, and I don't think he necessarily needed to. I know reading stuff that's going to the Suicide Squad he was really bad on set, apparently. Like he was like, because Heath Ledger went full into character. But there's the picture of Heath Ledger jumping over Batman, isn't there? Christian Bale on a skateboard. I don't know if you've ever seen that picture.
I think I have, yeah.
Yeah, so they obviously, they were friends and stuff, whereas I believe Jared Leto was an absolute jerk on set of the Suicide Squad, and he was sending random presents to people, Joker presents and all this, like going full on Robert De Niro method acting, and I just don't think, I don't know, it just didn't work for me, and I think Heath Ledger's performance in this is just absolutely, it's film stealing, really, isn't it? He absolutely makes this film, without a doubt.
I was taking notes earlier, and I'm like, every line of dialogue he has in this movie is just wonderful, and it's like quotable and like memorable. There's not like, I think out of all, like consistently, he has the best dialogue of any villain in a superhero movie. Like everything he says, like you're like sucked into it.
Yeah,
you remember it.
Exactly. And I'd say one thing, though, I've got this, it wouldn't be a review without me sort of picking holes in one thing, though. As much as I love the film, I say I love it, is Christian Bale's voice. I know I know why he does it, but there's a couple of scenes where he's talking to like Rachel and Lucius, and there's no one else around. And he's doing the whole, and he's doing all that. And I'm like, but nobody's with you who doesn't know who you are. Why are you still speaking in that voice? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like he's being tapped or filmed or anything. And it doesn't mean, he's full on Batman, and I get why he's doing it. But even so, it just makes me laugh, because I think you don't need to do that real daft voice that you do when the people you're with know you're Batman. It's just daft. It just made me laugh when I watched it, because I rewound it back thinking, is someone else in the room here that I need to why speaking in that stupid voice? But yeah, that's the only thing I think in these whole trilogies. They're one of my favourite trilogies of all time. But that Batman voice gets so much stick off people. And I think in some scenes, it's actually off-putting, I think, in some of his dialogue now and again, Batman.
Because it feels more like, in comparison to Ben Affleck's, where it's like you can tell it's just like a voice modulator in his suit that's like messing with the tone, so you can't really tell like the original voice. But this is like, you can tell it's like he's working his throat muscles to like, I can't talk the way I normally talk, so I'm going to do this other voice type deal. Yeah. So it is different. It is interesting to see that difference where he's like really trying. It's like, I just put it in the suit. It's fine.
Yeah, that made more sense, wouldn't it? Yeah. But then obviously when this has happened at the funeral, I got it wrong there. Apologies, everyone. So it's a celebration. Great fan I am, because I've not watched it for about a week since last week I watched it. So sorry. But then the Joker gets away, but Harvey Dent then kidnaps one of the Joker's henchmen in the back of the ambulance, doesn't he? And he takes him on a trip then, doesn't he? Harvey, we start seeing this side to Harvey where he's got a bit of an edge to him, hasn't he? Because obviously he's punches someone in court who pulls a gun on him, which is obviously when he was trialing all of the gangsters and stuff. One of the main
second time a gun gets pulled out in the courthouse in Gotham.
Yeah. It's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, he says straight on he's carbon fiber, undetectable to finger. He just, he gives him a dig. And then he learns then that the next target is Rachel, which puts this whole spin on everything. But because of what's been going on, and he realizes it's Rachel, he then holds a press conference. Bruce is there. Bruce has decided, right, I'm going to tell everyone I'm Batman. I'm going to come forward. And Harvey's chairing this whole thing. And at the last minute, we get the old double twist. And Harvey says, look, I'm Batman. Take me into custody, doesn't he? But before this, obviously, Commissioner Gordon, as well, he was shot, wasn't he, protecting the mayor. So we all think Commissioner Gordon's, well, he's not Commissioner Gordon at this point, is he? But he's actually been shot as well, Jim Gordon. So everyone thinks he's dead.
Mayor.
Yeah, protecting the mayor. So we actually think he's dead as well, don't we?
Yeah.
But obviously, Dent then gets taken into protective custody. But Joker then attacks the convoy, doesn't he?
Yeah, this is my favorite scene in the whole movie, because this is a great use of using the city and just like all the cool locations that they used, and it's a great chase. I love the truck that the Joker has with the slaughter is the best medicine, putting in an S on the laughter. I just think it's like a great like set piece for this villain too.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And I think because what sets it up nicely is you think that the Joker's going to get him because obviously he's blowing up everything in and he's redirecting the traffic down, and even the coppers are saying we're going to be sitting ducks sort of thing and all that. And Batman sort of comes to his rescue, but obviously Jim Gordon's family have been told that he's died as well. So his poor wife thinks that he's died. His son's had the thing. So while this is going on, Batman absolutely nails the Joker in that. And then just as everything's kicking off, Jim Gordon appears, doesn't he, with the SWAT gear on and pulls the gun out, and they arrest the Joker then, don't they?
I got generally surprised when I saw that, when the first time I saw it in the theater, I was like, he's okay. And it was great that he was driving the truck the whole time. So that was really cool.
No, I agree, because I think the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, you can't get rid of Gary Oldman. Because to be fair, Gary Oldman usually is a very good bad guy. So in this, he's one of the film series I've watched where he's actually a good guy, which is good. And then because he saves everyone and that, he then gets promoted to commissioner then. And he said, it's about time, commissioner. And it's like, and he can't argue with it either, can he? Say, that's it, you are commissioner. So that's good. That's a good thing, because you've got that origin story going on as well, haven't you? Which is really good with Jim Gordon.
Yeah, because you didn't think, you wanting that transition point for him in this series to be like, okay, now we need like him as full commissioner and he's fully in control and he can work with Batman without people looking at him. I mean, they'll still look at him sideways for it, but like he's like, I'm still top.
No, exactly. You're right. And the next step again is one of the major sort of tipping points in the film. Actually, is when Rachel and Harvey Dent are escorted away, aren't they, by detectives? But they're part of Maroni's payroll, so they all Gordon finds out that they didn't arrive home, and then obviously because the Joker's in police. Which you get a great scene here, Jim. This is quite an iconic scene. Jim Gordon's talking to the Joker, and he's sort of playing him up, and he walks out the room, and from nowhere in the shadows, Batman's behind him, and absolutely gives him a absolute pummeling, doesn't he? And it's a really iconic scene when he stood over the Joker, because the Joker's not aware he's there, but the Joker's getting great pleasure out of the fact that Batman's hurting him, which is a great performance.
Yeah, this is the perfect of because looking from an outsider's perspective who's not really used to the Joker as a normal villain or a Batman, you wonder well Batman's really big, he can clearly take him down, but because the Joker is mentally so different, it's really not an equal fight or an unfair fight, because you're not going to win by just beating him up, because he's already ahead of you. He's already 2 steps ahead of you and mentally and everything. And no matter how much, and he says you have nothing to use your strength on, this does nothing for me.
Yeah.
He's just beating him up. So it's a really great dynamic to show this is ultimately why they are the iconic villain and hero situation.
Yeah, you're right. And it's a good way of describing it as well. And from this scene, obviously he wants to find Rachel more than he does Harvey Dent. And the Joker gives up a location. So obviously Batman gives up the locations. Batman goes to where he thinks Rachel is and absolutely races there, doesn't he? He's absolutely distraught by this. And we get the scene where they're both in buildings rigged with explosive. Harvey then sort of tries to escape, and then he ends up with Batman gets on that, but he ends up with the acid on his face, burning all the side of his face off, doesn't he? And when Batman gets there, he realizes and screams no, because he's come to the wrong place. Rachel is on her own. She's on the phone, isn't she, to Harvey, the next minute it just blows up completely, doesn't it? And you know, he's absolutely distraught. His face is on fire. Batman gets it, and I was quite shocked by that at the time when she died. I must admit.
I was too. I was like, they're still gonna get her out too, right? Like, and then all of a sudden, like, it's a quick like cut to just explosion, and you're like, oh no.
It's really strange, isn't it? And obviously the Joker, then while this is happening, the Joker goes and gets Lau, who's in the prison cell, isn't he now, and you know, takes him away, doesn't he? Because he, like you said, the iconic scene where you've been and seen, when he burns all the money.
Yeah, that's great. It was part of the plan all along, and it's great to see like how ahead he is with all his planning.
Yeah, and then the next scene, obviously everything's up in the air now. Batman's distraught. You know, we get a scene where Bruce is sat in his apartment, and you know, he's talking about Rachel, but obviously Alfred knows that Rachel chose Dent over him, didn't she? She wrote him a letter and everything, and he's going to give it him. And he's just absolutely distraught because he's just lost obviously the love of his life, one of his longest friends. And then, you know, we've got this little subplot going on in the background where one of the accountants at Wayne Enterprise, Coleman Reese, he's threatening to reveal his identity. He's worked out that Applied Sciences, which he's already had a word with Lucius Fox. And to be fair, Lucius is great on it. And he's like, you're trying to tell me that a millionaire thing is the Batman, you know, good luck sort of thing and all this. And because he finds out that the Batmobile is one of their projects that they've worked on. So he's obviously correct. But then what's strange is the Joker deduces that the Batman is someone he needs. So he puts a hit out on Reese, saying if you can kill him within an hour, he's going to destroy a hospital. So everyone goes crazy. But all the hospitals evacuate. Gordon then travels to secure Reese, which he does. But then we get one that, again, this is one of the things, Jerry, I keep saying, that, again, another iconic scene. The Joker goes to see Harvey Dent in hospital, don't we? And that is fantastic. That, and he's dressed as a nurse, and he kills a copper. He's so good in this, Heath Ledger. So good.
It's another great like costume piece, because I think after this movie came out, it was like you could either do the full Joker suit, or if you're really brave, you're going to dress in a nurse's outfit with the wig and the Joker makeup, and it's great. It's so fitting for the character. It's so manic, and like only he would do something like that. So it's
brilliant.
It's
and that was one take, that, because when the building blows up, I remember reading it and watching it. I've got it on the extras. Like Heath Ledger just ad-libbed a lot of that. And then these are some scenes with Michael Caine when earlier on, when he infiltrated Bruce's apartment, did he, to come and get Harvey Dent and stuff. And Michael Caine forgot his lines because he was blown away by Heath Ledger's Joker. He'd not seen him.
Yeah, because if you pay attention to Michael Caine, like his mouth is like slightly open, like he was like, I'm going to say something, but he's like, I can't now. Like it's like I'm too surprised. So it's really funny, but it fits because you don't even need him to say anything. Like it's enough for him to just show up and come in there and let him steal the scene.
No, exactly. It's brilliant. And I think that's a sign of Michael Caine's experience as an actor as well. And they played it as that. And sometimes the best things happen by mistake. They say that in films, don't they? So, you know, hats off to Ledger. He saw that in the character Michael Caine did, which is fantastic. So obviously from there, we get the whole building demolition, him walking off like a nurse, sort of waddling off in his nurse's outfit, the Joker. And then Harvey Dent then just goes crazy, which I must admit, the only problem I've ever had with this film is the underuse of Two-Face in this. It seemed a bit quick.
No, I agree, because I understand why at the end they killed him off, especially to set up Dark Knight Rises, but it's also like there's a lot you can do with that character. Like that character sticks around in the comics and in like the animated series for a while, and it would have been really cool if this was going to be like an endless series to see more of what Harvey's capable of, and starting his own little mob of people and everything, and how he turns.
Exactly, and I agree. I think he could have, from the back of this film, he could have gone into another film I know it's a trilogy, but we didn't. You could have got away with having 4 films really, and having a Harvey Dent origin with Bane maybe coming in towards the end of the Harvey Dent film as such. But I was a bit gutted, I must admit, because he is a character I've known myself from the cartoons and that. Which was he's a great actor, Aronaka. He's great in it. He's proper maniacal, and the way he turns from being this all-conquering US, hero sort of thing, American hero. Lawyer and prosecutor and everything. He's fantastic, but he was a bit rushed with him, I thought. And the fact that he just straight away goes for Jim Gordon's family, I didn't really buy that, if I'm being honest, because I just thought that was totally out of character. Yes, be annoyed at Batman. Yes, be annoyed, obviously, at the Joker. But there's no real reason to go after someone like Jim Gordon or anything like that. It just was a bit thin, I thought, that bit. I must admit. But, that's just me. But sorry, go on. Sorry.
No, that's okay. No, yeah, I can definitely see that, because it's at the third act of this movie. Because you really think about it, it fits for, like, when you watch the movie, you don't feel like this is boring, this is way too long. But there's a lot, when you break it down, there's a lot going on in this movie, and you can kind of see, like, yes, like this is like a small little chunk of it. He could have almost done a mini series of this like whole movie, and it would have. Because it's very standalone too. It's like you don't need a movie before it. You don't need a movie after it. Like, this is very, very standalone for a sequel, but it's so well done.
Oh, it's so good. I agree. I totally agree. And then obviously we're coming into sort of like the final section of the film now. So we're probably about an hour and 45 in, 150 minutes in, something like that. So 105 minutes in. So no, it's been roller coaster this, and then obviously the Joker then rigs 2 ferries up with explosives. One's containing all the civilians, and the other one's got all the prisoners on it. And we get this sort of Russian standoff, don't we, where they both got a trigger, and we've got the big guy, Tiny Lister. Lister, I'm a big wrestling fan. He was Zeus.
No Holds Barred. I know that movie.
Yeah, with Hulk Hogan, and it was, How do you know that one, Jamie?
Oh, because How Did This Get Made? The podcast I shared the link. Howard the Duck. They did No Holds Barred. It's one of my favorite episodes because the movie's so ridiculous. I had listened to the episode of the podcast and then watched the movie, and like I thoroughly enjoyed the movie for how ridiculous it is. But at the same time, I was like, oh, that's the guy from Dark Knight, and like got all excited. And even in the on the podcast, they make fun of they call him out for being in the Dark Knight, and they're like, we want a remake of this movie with Christopher Nolan, Christopher Nolan directing, No Holds Barred, bring back Tiny, and just go with it. So that's a little side note, but it's just I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I do, because I remember I think Hulk Hogan's called Rip Summit in it.
Yeah, it's not even his real name. No,
it's not even Hulk Hogan. I remember it because I'm a massive wrestling fan. My gamer tag even to this day is Hulkamania 78. I've absolutely love Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, like years ago for the wrestling. And he's in stuff like Fresh Prince. He always plays like a henchman in different things. And he was in the wrestling off the back of No Holds Barred. Tiny Lister was in the wrestling for like SummerSlams and that with Macho Man Randy Savage. And he had like about 18-month run in the WWF because of his size, because he's about 6'8". He's a big bloke, so he's really good. And he's got that where he's cross-eyed, isn't he? So he's got that thing where he just looks scary. So he's there and you can see he's getting the moral conscience. So this plays out for about 15 minutes, doesn't it? And obviously the people who are not criminals, there's that one guy who's like, oh, let's just go for it, let's just kill him. And he takes the trigger, doesn't he? But he can't actually he can't actually do it. He just can't do anything. He just can't go through with it. And obviously at this point as well, the Joker's on a building watching all this because he's got a third device, and Batman uses all the sonar devices, doesn't he? So we get this whole sort of 3D mapping thing where he can see people and you have the white eyes of the bat suit and that, that's a bit more in tone with the Ben Affleck Batman, I suppose. That's the first time we've seen anything like that with the actual suit coming into play in these 2 films, as far as I can remember.
Yeah, and another reason I like this ending a lot too is because I think now we're so used to like these giant epic battles in our final acts for our superhero movies, And even though this one is like it's a pretty big deal because it involves a lot of people, it's still very intimate with like, I'm just gonna blow up these 2 boats and we'll just see what happens. And it's very different than like the end of the world is coming and we need to rescue so many people or we need to save the world. And like this is like, no, it's a very small contained thing, but it's still a very, very like dire situation. And I like that it's not like this crazy big blowout or anything like that where like basically half of Gotham is destroyed. And we don't know how that's going to get repaired in like the next movie, like with Metropolis or something. So I like this.
No, I agree. And obviously, eventually, Batman infiltrates the building. He takes out. And what's quite good is we've got the plot where the actual baddies who've got the guns as far as Batman can see, and they've got the SWAT team, the Gotham police SWAT team there. They're actually people who've been held hostage and they've got guns in the hand, but they're taped to the hands. So from a distance, it looks like they're the sentries, they're the bad guys, but they're not. They're the ones who are actually under hostage. But Batman realizes that then the Batman has to then start beating up the coppers, the SWAT guys, because he's like, no. And then the police then get onto the fact that they're the hostages, the ones with the guns. But it's very clever, very, very clever the way to think of even that. And that's proper Joker origin type of thing. So I think it sits really well at the end. It's another little thing to go, oh, that's really clever. You know, it's not just 5 henchmen stood around a group of people sat down and like, oh, here we go, Batman's gonna. It's played really well, and you don't see that coming, which I think is great. And obviously with the boat, the ferries going on, then Tiny Lister gets up, doesn't he, and says, you should have done this in the first place. And he gets the detonator of their ferry with all the prisoners on and throws it out the window, and then goes and sits down and prays, and all the prisoners are there, aren't they, praying and stuff. But it doesn't go off. The detonator doesn't go off on either of them, does it? And the Joker's like, well, I've got a third one. And that doesn't, Batman gets him then, doesn't he, and stuff. And this is where they have the brawl. And obviously we get a great little scene after a bit of backwards and forwards. Batman gets a little bit of a beating, but he takes the Joker out and he dangles him over the side of the building. And it's great. I think I don't think he deserved to die in this, the Joker. But again, reading the stuff afterwards, it was set up for him to make an appearance in The Dark Knight Rises, maybe at the end or something. There was talk of that, wasn't there?
I thought even just because I think when I was talking with a friend, like when Dark Knight Rises came out, where Scarecrow is playing the judge. Yeah, I thought like that would have been a great cameo for Joker. That part. Like that little thing is like he's just judge, jury, and executioner for this little thing. But
yeah, that's true. And also, I don't know, do you watch, obviously it's Cillian Murphy, we talked about this in Batman Begins. Do you watch Peaky Blinders?
I don't watch the story. I do want to get into it.
Please, you've got to watch it.
And maybe when it like the series is all done, because I know they're coming out with the next season, and I got some new casting news for that. So yeah, I do want to watch it.
Please, it's set in Birmingham in like the 1915 to 1920s. They're actually filming it in Manchester, right where I live at the moment, the 5th series. But Tom Hardy's in it, and that is brilliant. Honestly, Jamie, so good. But obviously, Cillian Murphy's he was in obviously Batman. He's Scarecrow and that, but this has elevated him to such a bigger act, especially in the UK. If you get a chance, you and Paul watch it, you'll love it. Absolutely love it. He's so violent though. Oh, it's terrible, honestly.
Yeah, I almost feel like it's probably like the UK version of like Boardwalk Empire, because we really like that show. Yeah, and that was like Paul's favorite, one of his favorite series. So, and that's his favorite time period too. So,
that's my recommendation. It should be on Netflix in the US as well, I think. So, please watch it. Just see what you think. It is. It's obviously it's Lucky Luciano in it in Boardwalk Empire, and obviously it's Al Capone in it and stuff. I've only watched the first series in bits. I've not watched all that myself, so maybe I need to watch that as my homework and you watch Peaky Blinders. But anyway, sorry. So we then get the end bit where he's got the Joker, but then Harvey Dent has obviously got Jim Gordon's family, hasn't he? And he takes them to the building where Rachel perished. And like I say, I don't know whether it was needed, this bit. I'm not sure. It sets it up, obviously, for what we know in The Dark Knight Rises and the sort of hate towards Batman and stuff, and the love of Harvey Dent. It creates this character, doesn't it, that of freedom and this character to stop the crime in Gotham. But obviously he shoots Batman and saves. He jumps over the side, doesn't he? And he saves his boy, doesn't he, and stuff. And then obviously Batman and Dent jump over the side, and you're not sure who's dead, but obviously it's Harvey Dent who's dead, isn't he? I mean, what do you think of Dent's thing? Am I being a bit too harsh, do you think, Jamie, or is it just obviously?
I think it's part of the reason is it's a very iconic character. It's another iconic villain for Batman, and it's used in a very different way for this movie, and that's I think what makes it hard, because it's such a setup. Like he's really used as like a jumping off point for the next movie.
Yeah,
that it feels that's I think probably what it was. It's like we need to make him very specific to what we're doing for our next story, and I think that's what kind of gets it a little wonky. But I think it performance wise, the scene's really good, and you do have motivation, at least to a certain degree, of like he's just kind of lost his mind after what's happened to Rachel, and makes her value to the series as well. So that's it could go either way. I can understand both sides to it.
Oh yeah, I agree. I do agree. I just think because he's such a good actor, he plays the part well. It's a shame we don't get more. Even if he teamed up with the Joker maybe halfway through the film, that would have been quite good. But yes, obviously they die, and we get the famous scene, where he's the hero we need, not the hero we want, and all the famous line and stuff. And Batman runs off, very much Adam West style, doesn't he? Getting chased, which is quite funny. And then we get all the end bit, very much reminiscent of the Dark Knight, where Commissioner Gordon destroys the bat signal. Lucius had already said to Bruce that if the Sona thing carried on, he'd resign from his position, and he says to Lucius, done it before this whole or the end sequence of the film, he says, just put your name in, and he does, and he quite rightly destroys everything, doesn't it? Because obviously Bruce has created this link to everybody when he can basically look at every single person in the world. Alfred burns the letter that Rachel had sent saying she was planning to marry Dent, because obviously in Bruce's eyes, he still think Rachel was going to wait for him once he finished, once he finished it all. And obviously then Batman is, public enemy number one. So, and there's the end of the film, I think, Jamie. It's quite a thingy. Is there anything you want to mention before we get into the review scores?
I'm trying to look back at my notes. I think we pretty much covered all I wanted to talk about. I maybe have like a little goofy end line. I tried to incorporate one of the quotes from the movie to use for the end of the sign off, but I don't know.
Oh yeah, you got to use it. You have to use it, definitely.
Okay.
But what we'll do is let's go into the review. So yeah, Jamie, your scores, please, or your score.
I've been lucked out. Like I'm basically sending every film I get to do to Asgard, and within good reason for this one as well. I mean, nobody can deny that this is just an amazing movie, whether or not you are a superhero fan or not. It's wonderful, and I think with the new list of AFI's top 100, I think it actually got not pre 2007, but like post 2007 list. It's been up there because it's just so iconic. It's broken a lot of the rules of what we typically thought was a superhero movie, and made it something like Oscar winning, and showed that no matter what kind of subject matter, if you think it's going to be like not something that could be critically acclaimed, like it could be proven wrong. And Christopher Nolan is a genius.
So it's Asgard, is it?
It's Asgard, yes.
Oh yes, thank you. I thought it would be, Jamie. I thought it would be, especially with the your allegiance to DC, with the whole scripts as well, which is fantastic. I think with me, I've been umming and ahhing on this. I'll be honest with you, because I gave Batman Begins and Asgard, and when I watched it again, I was a bit not underwhelmed at all, because I think it's Heath Ledger's. He's an Asgard on his own. He's absolutely fantastic. But The Dark Knight Rises is my favourite. And I know it doesn't get the plaudits The Dark Knight is. I don't know whether it's Tom Hardy or anything, but I'm one of these people where when it comes to films, I love it where the hero gets sort of taken down a peg or two. Very much, I know it sounds daft, it's a totally different film, so forgive me, but like Rocky III, Rocky 3 gets cocky, and this plays out a bit like Rocky 3 with Batman in the respect of he's sort of a bit assured of himself. He thinks he can take people. This is the Dark Knight Rises, by the way. And then obviously someone comes in like Bane and just takes back a la Mr. T, you know, Clubber Lang, and he has to then build himself back up to come in. And I love that. That's a formula that I absolutely step with. So this is a totally different film, but I think comparing all three of them, The Dark Knight Rises is my favorite of the trilogy. But
it's definitely mine too.
Yeah,
but I
do. No, don't laugh. I agree. I think it's one of them. I just think it's just, I don't know why, but that one I could watch over and over. Now, I'd not watched this for a couple of years, to be fair. And it's fantastic. You know, the way it's filmed, the IMAX setting, even on my telly with the sound bar and a full blast of sound plate. It was absolutely booming. Brilliant film. Like I say, I think the only thing I can say is a negative is the Harvey Dent is underused. I think Aaron Eckhart is so good, and it's a shame, like you said, and you're so right what you said at the end there. It's just a way of moving the plot along, I think, in some respects, because he's just not. I'm not convinced the way he suddenly turns so much from being the good guy to the bad guy. That I know it's supposed to be the flip of the coin, and that's what Two-Face is about, but it's just. I don't know whether his acting is brilliant, but I don't know whether I truly believe it, and that's why I've questioned it. So I think for me, I'm going to send it to Atlantis. Now, Dave is going to be going mad. He's
going to scream at you.
Yeah, he's not going to be happy. I may be getting sacked, Jamie. You may be here next week with Dave, but I just can't send it to Asgard. I think I've got to be true. I can't do it, and I know. You know, I'm already telling you what I would give The Dark Knight Rises, but yeah, I just think it's a brilliant film. It's one of the best, but for me, it's not my best of the trilogy. So
I love it that it's timeless, though.
Yeah,
like you're not like you're 10 years later. It's aged like really well. It's gonna be like one of those things where like almost like Jurassic Park. Like it's just gonna kind of, even though Jurassic Park has its own like technology issues. Side note, but I feel like this one is just it's set up so way like that we're gonna remember it for the next 50 years and so on after that.
I agree. And one thing I would say, Jamie, it's a great point, is it's people have got to take accountability and be embarrassed for what we've had since, in the respect of, I thought Man of Steel, and Dave absolutely slaughtered Man of Steel and give it a Phantom Zone, whereas I give it, I think I give it an Atlantis. But when you look at stuff like the Justice League, Batman v Superman, even the Suicide Squad, which I personally like, they get slated. It's embarrassing that they've got all this technology, but the storytelling just nowhere near as good as this. And the way this is filmed, there's not a lot of use of superhero gadgety stuff, is there? It's just a great story with great actors and great writing, and everything
and
works.
Little to no CGI too. Like that's what's gonna hold it up forever. And I know it's expensive, and I know some of the movies, especially with Marvel, it's very hard to do anything practical because all their superheroes, but there's something really wonderful. And I'm hoping with Birds of Prey, things like that we get more like use of just practicality and performances and things like that can keep these movies to be as iconic or just last as long and age well.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think as well, could you honestly see, hand on heart, Christian Bale going up against a Steppenwolf or, you know, an Abomination or whatever? No, Abomination, but, you know, Batman v Superman, the bad guy at the end there. And it's like, you couldn't imagine these supernatural beings being in this Christopher Nolan world. He's very much filmed like a street level superhero, and you know, like thing is out next week, by the way, for all the listeners, Daredevil series 3, which I am literally going to watch in a weekend because I absolutely love the Daredevil, and Thingy's back, Wilson Fisk, you know, as me and Dave mentioned last week. So please get on that if you've not watched the Daredevil. I absolutely love that series, but it's at that level, and it's filmed more as a lifelike thing with the Joker. There's no stupid over the top alien superheroes. I just couldn't imagine taking a step back to what we've had with Ben Affleck. I genuinely couldn't imagine seeing these super beings being in Christopher Nolan's world. I think that's one thing I've got to take out of it, which I think is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, because I can't even envision Superman in this world, and that's why they've never acknowledged him.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with like the direction of, because they wanted to build this universe, and they've in certain ways for the new universe that they've kind of found ways to ground it, but they still need to keep that fantasy element that, it's not like over the top like Schumacher. It's not grounded like Christopher Nolan's. It's kind of like right in the middle, where you can introduce all these other characters and it doesn't feel like completely unrealistic in a way. So like I do appreciate that way the universe is set up. But yeah, this is so different, and you can see why it's so standalone, and it's just its own little thing that is contained in these 3 films.
No, that's great. But yeah, thank you, Jamie, again for coming on. Thanks. For the 4th time, even though officially it's the 3rd time, but thank you again. You're a star. Big up to Mr. Dave Horrocks, who's out there working somewhere. I have given it Atlantis. If you want to stop speaking to me, that is fine. Still love you, pal. But yeah, that's it. I just want to give another shout out to comicsbolt.com website and on social media. Get over there. We're their official comic book movie reviewers now. Give all them guys a follow. There's plenty of other comic creators out there that are part of that community, so give them a shout. And now, Jamie, please get all your plugs in. Where can we find your screenplay? I
have a screenplay titled Nightwing and Batgirl Year 1. You can find on fanfiction by just searching the title Nightwing and Batgirl Year 1. I'm also on Twitter. You can follow me at JDMaria124. My handle name is Jamie S. And you can also find a link to my screenplay on there as well.
Thank you. And thank you again for coming out. And obviously, Thanks. You know you're going to be coming back for The Dark Knight Rises, don't you?
Yes, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Because I know you and I both share that I do. There's something about that one that I just love.
Yeah.
A little bit more.
Exactly. And anybody you can go, Mr. Wayne, like that. And I just love Tom Hardy in that. He's just fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. But anyway, that was a terrible impression. But usually Dave does the impressions. So I thought I'd just throw one in there. But no, thank you.
If you use a coffee mug, you actually get a great like Bane.
Oh, hang on. I have a coffee mug. One sec. Mr. Wayne. No, that's terrible. That's even worse. But no, thank you, Jamie. And thank Paul as well, because I know you guys have got a big day ahead of you, haven't you, with the Halloween. Is it Halloween house and everything you're doing today?
Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Orlando. We will be getting to see the houses without being scared by the scare actors at night. So, but I'm really excited for the Poltergeist house. That's one of my favorite horror movies.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Jay. If you listen to the last episode with some of the comic creators, Mike Garley and MLG, I'm an absolute coward, so there's no way you're going to see me doing any of them things. Not a chance. I'm absolute scared, stiff as things like that.
Well, I'll take lots of pictures and I'll post some stuff today.
Please, yeah. And where can they find you on Twitter as well, Jamie?
Yeah, I'm at JDMaria124, and my name is Jamie S on Twitter.
Good stuff. Nice one, Jamie. Thank you. Now, Jamie, do you want to lead us out today? I just want to thank everybody. Big thank you to Jamie coming on. And like I say, Dave will be back next episode. So, Jamie, it's over to you.
All right. This is my send-off. Take it or leave it. We either die podcast heroes or we live to see us become podcast villains. That's what I got.
That's brilliant. Thank you. Goodbye.
Where is he?
People are dying. What would you have me do?
Gotham needs you. Why so serious? A little fighting, yeah. I like that.
Then you're gonna love me.
Now that's more like it, Mr. Wayne.
It's all part of the plan. Come on, hit me! Let's put a smile on that face